Hey everybody, welcome inside on a rainy day on the farm. We are going to go over how we make essentially potato seeds, potato slips. I know potato slips are used for sweet potatoes. I don't know if they're used for other potatoes, but baby potato plants that will make a bigger plant. So many of you have seen potatoes. Let me find one that's not so crazy. That start to have an eye to develop like that. So our job when we're creating potato plants is to make sure we focus on this eye and keep it in contact with a piece of the actual meat of the potato. This part is very sensitive where it connects to the skin. This piece here is what will grow up and become a plant, but it initially feeds off of the energy stored in here. To show you what I mean, I've already cut a piece. You can see here the roots grow from this space. They don't grow out of the other piece of the potato. They grow from where the eye connects to the potato, which connects to the stem. Now, even this is dangerously long and precarious and sensitive. You are supposed to bury this in dirt. If you snap this off, I don't think it's going to grow at all. If not, it's going to struggle at best. So what we would want to do, I didn't bring the scissors before we started filming. Wow, that's actually very strong. But you would want to cut it to something a little bit more manageable. And in your planting, you want to have these inside in the bottom of a furrow with loose soil. And I would even pack this loose soil and kind of support it and gently tap it on top. You want it buried about an inch when you plant it. But moving into this part, so ignore the roots. That's kind of exceptional. We've been maturing these pieces for quite some time, as you can tell. But you have the skin of the potato and you have the inside meat that we are exposing. You want to pre-plan this by a couple days and allow for this meat, this soft, wet stuff to dry, harden, so when you plant it, it doesn't stay sopping wet. That little bit of rough skin, like on this outside, will protect it from rotting in your furrow. So we go through, we have a potato. Oh my goodness. These potatoes are some we harvested last fall. The red potatoes do not last as long as the yellow potatoes, which I believe do not last as long as the russet brown type potatoes, or the whites. So this is kind of exceptional. And then there's another tray we have where these things are 3 feet tall. This is not going to help the potato in the long run anyway. This is really redneck. We're just going to cut it. It's a cutting board. So what we're going to do, you can see this potato has all kinds of eyes around it. So we're just going to try to cut each eye with a considerable amount of potato meat left on it. And then when we put it in the hole, in the furrow, we want it in a furrow. We want loose dirt above it, so that way when we come back through, we can push dirt on top as the plant gets taller. So we will place it in the furrow with this side facing up and the open meat side, once it's hardened, about 3 days, facing kind of up and down like this. The reason you have to bury these is because if they are grown, the actual potatoes you'll harvest in sunlight, they create a toxin that is not good for people to eat. So you put it in a furrow, which is naturally going to be wet anyway. If you have a way to make your potato area not only rich, but loamy. So we had an area that we chose to be our garden years in advance. We bedded sheep on it for 2 winters, and we had them on a mixture of wood chips with the leaves that were chipped up by the tree company, and sheep manure and urine with hay that we fed to the sheep for 2 winters. We did that, and I know I always preach rototilling is bad, but we chose a specific section on our farm to do this, and then we make sure it gets covered in green growing plants outside of potato season, so we do what we can. We understand the risks. But getting back to this one potato, this tiny little thing, we will cut a little bit more. Again, I just created 2 wet sides, so they are somewhat challenging to air out. So I'll place it kind of on that vertical axis, or however you want to call it, so the air can get to it. If you don't have that ability and you place it flat like this, I would come back in a day and flip it to that other side. Just, again, you're trying to prevent disease, which is the initial main killer of potato crops. Now these 2, that might be a little aggressively small, but you get the idea. We make more seeds and we plant them very, very close. If they don't all work, they don't all work. These are very, very cheap. It's a very easy thing to do. So I'm actually not even going to worry about the rest of this piece. There's no eye on that. Actually, there is, but I don't want to even bother developing it. We've got more than enough. Get rid of that, get rid of that. So again, in planting this, you can see where the roots will come out. It's at the base of these stems. I don't know if you guys can see that at home. When we plant this, even with this monstrous growth, we want to get dirt all around this so that, I mean, you can see how flimsy this is. If this breaks and the roots aren't already grown and sunk in, if this breaks off of the piece of potato, which is the stored energy, why they make the potatoes in the first place, it will not grow. So we want to bury this whole thing, and then these things will come up. Once these are, 6 to 10 inches for the first growth, then you pour on more. And then after that, you should not have any potatoes that are growing above the soil level of your furrow. We try to have our garden, once we hill them over that second time, the ground is level. Sometimes in our area during harvest season, we're really, really, really dry, and the potatoes die because we don't water them. So having them hilled artificially above grade will dry our potatoes out. You may live in an area where it's very wet. I would make sure that your potatoes are growing, if it's a wet area, make them above grade so they don't rot. But you're going to need to come up with the soil, so figure out how you want to do that. But I think that about covers it, at least for making the seed part. If anybody has any questions on this part of it, please comment on this video. If this video helped, please like and subscribe. We've got a bunch more videos on our channel and more coming out each week. Thanks. Take care.